Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Stephanie with Lumeria Star. Today I wanted to just kind of take a look back at the decks I was using for my January tarot edit over on Instagram. So for those of you who don't know, I just kind of created this hashtag Lumeria Star Tarot Edit, and anyone is free to join in, and it's basically a way to just figure out what decks you want to use for the month. You use the hashtag to kind of share it with everyone else. And the reason I kind of created it was because my deck collection was getting a bit large, and I just wanted a way to like intentionally curate the decks I'm working with each month, just so everyone is getting enough time and love, including myself, with each of these decks that I really enjoy. So I've been doing that for a handful of years now, and then I just started, kind of recently in the past year, doing a video to kind of talk about the decks after the month. So these are all the decks that I worked with my tarot edit in January 2023. So let's just get into the decks. The first deck that I used in this month for January 2023 is the Moonchild Tarot. So one of my tarot goals for 2023 is I wanted to do a deep dive of one deck each month. I'm doing a no-buy year, so I just really want to enjoy what I have and go deeper into that. So this was my deep dive deck for the month of January, and I just forgot how much I love this deck. Everything about this deck feels really special. It makes divination feel luscious and luxurious. The guidebook is great. I was using this heavily. I read through it. I didn't do all of the spreads in here, but I did a handful of them, which was nice. My intention was to do all of them, but time and I just didn't get around to it. But really reconnecting with this deck has been such a joy. It's been so much fun. And I think doing more deep dives with decks and being really intentional about what we connect with is such a great way to curb like consumerism, which I can only speak for myself. I know I can get sucked into that, but I do, I've seen a lot of people online just talk about, getting sucked into consumerism. And I think that's in like any community, right? Like tarot, makeup, trading cards, like any kind of like community. I think journaling, like it's so easy to get caught up in consumerism of like, I need to have all the things. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with it. I just knew I didn't like feeling like a collector. I just want a nice curated collection of things I really love. But I don't want to collect for the sake of collecting. I never wanted to feel like, oh, I've got to buy a new deck because, I'm like some influencer and like otherwise I don't have content. Like I never wanted to feel that way. So I think deep diving with decks and finding new ways to connect with them and then sharing how my experience was, that feels really authentic to me, and that just feels really good. So needless to say, reconnecting with this deck has been really eye-opening. I've used this for a lot of journaling this month, a lot of which, I don't post all of my readings on, if you follow me on Instagram, I do typically post at least like one reading a day, typically, but there's plenty of times I don't post them because they're private. But this was, oh gosh, it was so good. And I was letting the guidebook do a lot of work for me, which was nice because I feel like if you're someone like me who reads for yourself all the time, I think sometimes I know I can get stuck in reading cards the same way in my head. And I was like, no, the whole point of a deep dive is like, I want to see what the creator wrote. Like, I want to know her interpretation. So I was relying heavily on the guidebook for my readings with this deck. And it was just so nice. It was like having Danielle Noel read my cards for me. And I think that is all part of the deep dive experience. This is literally probably my favorite death card ever. Actually, I'm going to leave that out for a second because there's a funny like connection with another deck in this that I use this month. But yeah, I just loved using the guidebook. I forgot how deeply intuitive this deck is. It's beautiful, but it's shadowy. I mean, it literally has a shadow work card. It's really great for introspective work. It's great for serious readings, I've found, and it does it in a way that doesn't punch you in the face, which is really appreciated, in my opinion, when you're going through shit and you're like, I don't need a punch in the face right now. I need some truth, and I need it given to me with love. And that is this deck for me. So I'm just so glad this was the first choice this month for my deep dive. And yeah, it's right up there in my top decks ever. So really loved reconnecting back with the Moonchild. All right, so my next deck I wanted to share is the Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot. This is a deck I picked up last year, and I really didn't use it that much. I was really drawn to the artwork, but I didn't use it a whole lot. I loved the idea of having a deck with keywords and reversed keywords. I thought if I'm going to learn or play around with traditional reversals, I don't really read traditional reversals like with the cards upside down. I will read a light and shadow aspect to it, but I was like, okay, if I'm going to just play around with maybe incorporating traditional reversals, this would be a beautiful deck to use. A lot of other beginners decks, like the aesthetic, I wasn't drawn to. So this felt very beautiful. This also feels very like Moonchild aesthetic. And ironically, these pair really beautifully together. And it's like the Moonchild and then like the Lucid Dreams by Saint Soleil has like that sun energy. So they feel like a really nice balance. I love the keywords and how they're not intrusive. Like you could totally ignore them if you want. It's got the astrological components. It really is a great learning deck if you want to dive into that. So I'm really glad I have this. This is probably the only deck with keywords that I need. And it's just something for me to kind of like deepen my tarot practice. Like if I really do want to play around with that a bit more, I have this deck for that. And the reason I also wanted to share this, I'm like trying to look for the card. I had noticed this a while back, but someone else on Instagram also noticed it. And I was like, yeah, good eye. Let's see here. I believe it's the Fool card in this deck. Yeah, the Fool card in this deck is the same image from the Death card in the Moonchild. So I'm guessing, and obviously it's just like reversed composition, but I'm guessing this is just a stock photo that's up for anyone to use. But I thought it was so interesting that I'm using these two decks together. This is the Moonchild. This is by Saint Soleil, which is sun, and we've got this reversed imagery with the Fool and Death. I just find that so interesting, so I wanted to share that. But yeah, it has a very similar vibe, so I think that's why this does pair nicely with the Moonchild. It's got kind of like a celestial vibe, but this one, because of the colors and the golds, it does kind of have that like sun energy. And it also has like the vintage stock photos, I guess. So yeah, this was just, this was really fun. It pairs nicely with others because it's very neutral in color. And I really, really love pairing multiple decks together in a reading. I think it just gives a nice like layered aspect to the reading. So this is the Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot by Saint Soleil. This is with keywords. This is the 3rd edition, and yeah, this was a win. I'm definitely keeping this one around because I think it's just a good deck to have on hand. Okay, another deck I used this month is the Starseeker Tarot. Oh man, I love this deck so much. This deck is such a soft and comforting deck. And a big reason why I think it is that way is I think this deck has been infused with the creator's energy. So the creator, what's her name? Nikki Ferrata. She's just such a gentle soul. If you don't follow her on Instagram, definitely do. She always does these like she puts live readings on her page, and they're always so spot on. And there's something about her energy that just really soothes me, and that energy is felt in this deck for me. So this deck is just so calming. This might be one of my favorite Queen of Cups cards. This like beautiful mermaid with like the galaxy of stars in her hair, so gorgeous. This deck is like a really nice kind of velvety rose petal. It does stick a bit, but I think it's part of its charm. It just feels so soft in my hands. It's just soft energy. I love the color palette. I love the art style. And her writing in the guidebook is so good. I love Nikki's writing. She also has a couple, oh, this is an extra major card, number 22, the womb, which is really beautiful. This is just a really gentle and grounded deck. It's the deck I want to pull out on a rainy day. It's a deck I want to curl up with a blanket and a cup of tea. It's so lovely. If you've not experienced the magic of this deck, if you're even remotely attracted to the artwork, I highly suggest checking out the Star Seeker. It's so good. So good. Another thing I love, like I said, I like her writing. She also has in the back of the guidebook tarot exercises and meditations. And I haven't tried the meditation, but I have done the tarot story exercise, which was like such a cool experience. And then the intuitive exercise, which I just really enjoyed doing with this deck, even though I do read intuitively, but like to do it specifically with this deck and like kind of following along with her directions. I didn't do Journey into the Tarot cards, but I just love these little extras she has in the book and the guidebook. Even though it might look like a small, like nothing kind of guidebook, it's really, really good. Like this might be one of my favorites. If I had to do like top 10 guidebooks. I've not done any of these spreads, of course, but I should. But I love this deck. I really need to use this more, but it just felt like the color palette is just soft and soothing. It kind of felt like a January vibe, wintry, cozy vibe. Really love that. So that's the Star Seeker Tarot by Nikki Ferrata. All right, so another deck I use, which gives me very springy, early, or not springy, well, kind of winter to early spring vibes, is the Pagan Otherworlds. And this is a deck that I've always loved the artwork, but I didn't use it a lot because the cards were just too large. So I did go ahead and trim it. And I got a lot of people asking me about this. So let me know if you want me to do like a full walkthrough of this. I'm happy to do that. I love the way this came out. Like I'm obsessed with the way this came out. And now I pick up this deck all the time. It feels so good in my hands because it's smaller now. I want to say this is the size of a Fournier deck. Like if you think of like Tarot de Carlotides, or what's another Fournier deck? I can't think of the name right now. But the size is great now. I love it borderless. I think the artwork really gets to pop now. I love these muted colors for like midwinter, early spring. I think it really taps me into that seasonal energy. And this is just a dream to work with now that I've gone ahead and done the trim job. So let me know if you guys are interested in seeing a full walkthrough. I could always do that. I'm happy to oblige. It did take me a while to trim that because with the repetitive motions, I was getting like serious hand cramping. But very happy to do that if you guys would like. Okay, next deck that I use in January is the Dark Days Tarot. This is by Ren McMurdo Brignac and Emily Mundy. So this is also the creator of the Mother Tarot, which I also have. I really enjoy this deck in the winter, mostly because it's black and white aesthetic. I feel like that works just really well with the energy of winter. Like, we're going into the darkness. It matches, you know, the long nights and the short days. It matches the landscapes when it snows, even though we've not had snow here yet. This deck feels like a great deck to do shadow work. This feels like a great deck to dive into like dark feminine energy. I love the art style. It's so beautiful. It's very yin. It's very quiet and deep. This is a deck where I want to slow down with. I might pull 1 to 2 cards max. I don't even pull 3 cards with this deck. It just doesn't feel right. It's a deck much like winter that tells me to slow down. Like, you don't have to do all these things. Like, why don't you just pull 1 to 2 cards and call it a day? Like, I think that that's just such a great reminder for winter. And again, the artwork is just gorgeous. I will say it's a little difficult to shuffle with it being square, but I don't mind it. I find it kind of adds to its charm and its uniqueness. I do believe you can read them with directionality, like if there are certain ways. I don't read it that way, but I think you can. I do believe there's something in the guidebook that explains how you can incorporate that into your readings, which is cool. That's like another layer you could use. But yeah, I just love the slowness of the deck. It feels like a winter slow down deck. It's cooling. It's quiet. It's stark. And even, I'll show you the guidebook too. Even the guidebook is a little sparse. And I feel like that's winter. Winter is a little bit sparse. Winter things are in a little bit more of scarcity. We're going inward. We're sitting with things longer. Look at this Lover's card, like, what? Okay, let me show you the guidebook real quick. So you can see here, like, there's not like a whole lot written for each card. So it's simple. Like, I feel like it just gives you a little bit, and then it's like, okay, you could sit with that now. Yeah, there's a little bit about card orientation meanings. I haven't used this, but I think that's a cool feature. Numerology. This deck also kind of goes its own way too, I will say. So I think it's just a great deck for intuitive readings, which again, that intuitive yin energy is just very wintry. So really, really enjoy this as a deck I use in winter. So this was great for January. So that's the Dark Days. So this I paired, that went really, really nicely with another deck that gives me all the wintry vibes. That is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. So this is the artist edition. I did back this on Kickstarter last year, and I just didn't want to use it until winter. So this isn't a new purchase. I purchased this last year. These are the backs. So obviously, I mean, it has intuitive and night in the name, so it does feel very night and wintry. To me, these decks, the black backs with the white speckles, like, which could be stars. It looks like it could be snow too. This is another deck because of like the artwork in each card. It makes me want to just pull very few of them because I think too many of them might get overwhelming. So I was pulling one of the Intuitive Night Goddess and then two from the Dark Days. And those three cards, I feel like were really communicating with each other in this really like balanced way. Really enjoyed them. If you guys have those decks and haven't thought of pairing them, definitely suggest giving that a try. They worked really, really nicely together. And also the Intuitive Night Goddess has all of these really beautiful pops of color, all these florals. You know, it can feel a bit busier, and then the Dark Days can feel a little bit starker. So I like that balance and contrast. There is this Night card, which I've actually never pulled since I've been using it. The guidebook write-ups are really lovely too. She does rename them. I believe Nymph is the page, Warrior is Knight. I think Queen is Queen. Let's see if I can find it. I think Queens are Queens in this deck. Of course, have I... Spirit is King, so that would be King of Swords. Knight. Have I gone through all the queens? Oh yeah, Queens are Queens. And she does rename a lot of the majors too, but I don't mind it. Like this is another deck that kind of goes its own way. This is another extra card, Intuition, that I've left in. I love that Death card, so beautiful. This is a great deck. This is now mass market too. This edition I backed on Kickstarter, but there is a mass market edition, which I believe I think the production quality is pretty much the same. So like if you're in the market, definitely check it out. The guidebook is a little hard to read just because the pages are black with white writing, but like not a deal breaker at all. I think her writing, what's her name? I think it's like Lindsay Silverman. The writing is really beautiful, so highly suggest if this is something you're attracted to. That pairs really, really beautifully, these two. Okay, and the last deck in my January collection and reflections is the Solara Occulto. So this is another deck that I don't use a lot because I really want to mod it, but because I think the creator is coming out with a borderless, I'm going to hold off, because if she comes out with a borderless, I'll get that, and then I can always pass this along unmodded to someone who maybe has been looking for it with borders. So I'm going to refrain, but I do think this will look really beautiful without borders. But anyway, I think this color palette lends itself really nicely to that starkness of winter. I love her artwork. What is the artist's name? It doesn't say. It doesn't say. Published by Siren of the Sea. It doesn't say the person's name. Just SolaraOccultoTarot.com. I just love this artwork. It's weird, it's quirky, it's kind of folksy, kind of dark. This was also pairing really nicely with the Lucid Dreams because they both have this like kind of tan, creamish, goldish color. Also pairing really nicely with the Dark Days. And this is another deck that I think wants to be read slowly. If I pull more than two, I tend to feel a little overwhelmed, and I'm not sure why. So I just think this deck requires you to be like, hey, you get like one or two cards and like just chill with that. Just sit with that, see what comes up. You don't need to take more. So this is another deck that really asks me to slow down. Just be with it. This deck feels strange and special. Like, look at that Death card. I just love this artwork. It's so strange, but really, really beautiful. Look at that beautiful Queen of Wands. Ten of Swords with this mermaid. Yeah, I really enjoy this deck. I really hope it comes out borderless. It'd be great if it was matte cardstock too. That would be like the ultimate. And then I can always pass this deck along to someone who wants it, because I do know it's out of print. And I would hate to mod this and, you know, it goes borderless and then someone missed out on this. So I'm going to keep this pretty pristine as is, with hopes that that deck does come out. We're still, like, I don't know. I've seen little bits and pieces on Instagram, but, like, you know, there's no pre-orders, there's no Kickstarter to back or anything like that. But I'm going to keep my eyes open. Like, look how cool this strength card is. Wow. That might be a favorite strength card of mine. It's just so good. It feels like strange fairy tales. I also really like the Three of Cups card, which is on the cover of the boxes. So this is really awesome. I loved it. And yeah, I will say that all my January decks really, I felt really connected to all of them, and that doesn't always happen. I will choose decks, and then sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm just not feeling you. But I will say that all of these decks just really hit the right notes. They played so nicely together. I got to reconnect with some old faves, and it was just a really great month for decks. And I'm really excited to figure out what I'm working with for February. And again, I'm doing a no buy year. I'm giving myself like one deck if there's like a really great Kickstarter or a deck that I've been looking for and I can't find, but otherwise I'm going to use what I have. Unless something's been gifted to me, and I will let you know if something's been gifted. So it's just been a really like pleasure so far, just reconnecting with what I have, diving deeper with the Moonchild, and I'll be certain to share every month what deck I'm diving deeper with. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. Feel free to, you know, you can use the hashtag Lumeria Star Tarot Edit if you want to do a deck collection and reflection of what you use for the month. I love checking those out. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy my tarot content. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of these. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye.